and a very warm welcome. I am Gushin Garland and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, I get you the top 40 updates from around the world, only here on Fast and Factual. Let's get started. We begin with the latest from the United States. Tensions escalate in Los Angeles for third straight day as thousands of protest President Trump's immigration crackdown. Protesters block a major freeway, set self-driving cars on fire and clash with law enforcement. California Governor Newsom calls the troop deployment a breach of state sovereignty, with police making several arrests amid escalating violence. Meanwhile, President Trump has threatened force against Los Angeles protesters who spit on police or National Guard officials. He described the anti-immigration demonstrations as riots, while promising to maintain a very strong law and order. The United States and China are set to meet in London today in a bid to salvage their fragile trade truce, despite simmering tensions between both sides. The talks come just days after President Trump spoke on phone with Chinese Xi Jinping, follows his accusation that Beijing violated a tariff deal struck in Geneva last month. And President Trump's new travel ban takes effect from today, blocking entry to U.S. citizens from 12 countries, including Afghanistan, Iran, Haiti, and Libya. The move comes after a visa overstay incident in Colorado, which Trump calls a terrorist attack that exposes vetting failures. Moving to Europe, a Kremlin official says Russian President Vladimir Putin has approved a new naval strategy aimed at restoring Moscow's status as a global maritime power. The strategy, titled Development of the Russian Navy up to 2050, was signed by President Putin in late May. Russia currently holds the world's third largest navy but has suffered major losses in the war in Ukraine. In West Asia, Israeli naval forces seized a British-flagged charity yacht carrying climate activist Greta Thunberg after it tried to break the naval blockade on Gaza. The yacht Madeleine, operated by the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, was escorted to an Israeli port with all 12 crew members detained. Israel said the boat carried a small amount of aid and called the mission a propaganda effort in support of Hamas. Moving to South Asia, 5 people were feared dead while several others were injured after falling off a local train in India's Mumbai. Authorities blame the incident on overcrowding and footboat travel that has triggered demands for a probe and urgent safety upgrades. Meanwhile, a police officer lost his life and several others were injured after IED blast in India's Chhattisgarh state earlier today. The explosion in Sukma district was triggered when the officer accidentally stepped on a pressure-activated device suspected to have been planted by Maoist insurgents. In Southeast Asia, 15 people were killed when a bus carrying university students crashed into a minivan in northern Malaysia. 13 victims died at the scene near Gerik, while 2 others passed away in hospital. Authorities said the rescuers used hydraulic cutters to free trapped passengers, and an investigation is underway into the cause of the crash. Moving to Latin America, former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro is set to appear before the Supreme Court later today. He is facing charges of plotting a coup to overrule the 2022 election results. Bolsonaro denies the allegations, which include an alleged plot to assassinate key officials. On to climate news now. In New Delhi, the Indian Weather Department recorded a temperature of 42.4 degrees Celsius on June 8th. The Meteorological Department warned that temperatures could rise to 43 to 44 degrees over the next 3 to 4 days. A yellow alert is in place for heatwave conditions in isolated areas. The severe heat is expected to last until the monsoon arrives. The forecast suggests it may advance between June 12 and 18. The department stated that the extreme heat is due to a delayed monsoon and intrusion of dry air. Marking the Oceans Days, China announced major efforts to protect and restore its coastal ecosystems. The Dongzai Gang Nature Reserve in Henan leads with mangrove conservation, and over 130 hectares of mangroves have been planted to improve water quality. In addition, Henan also plans to add 2,000 more hectares this year and are encouraging public health. China's Fujian, in the meantime, has launched its first coral rehabilitation project using advanced cultivation techniques. These projects combine habitat protection with active restoration to support coastal ecosystems. Scientists warn that sea acidity has reached dangerous levels worldwide. According to a new study by the US and the UK, ocean acidification crossed a crucial planetary boundary about 5 years ago. This means the ocean's pH level has dropped so much so that corals and shellfish are struggling to survive. The research found that even waters 200 meters below the surface have become too acidic for many marine species. Experts say this threatens ecosystems and coastal economies around the globe. Scientists emphasize that cutting carbon emissions is the only way to slow the damage before it gets worse. A sharp rise in sea temperature in the Thunberg Gulf last year has put Greece's mussel farming industry under serious threat this year. Nearly 90% of the mussel harvest, including seeds, has been wiped out, leaving the farmers distraught. In villages like Alastra, farmers say they have lost everything from crops to income to hope. Though scientists have warned massive losses, the damage came faster than expected. The Greek government promised support, but many farmers say help has not yet arrived. And with sea temperatures rising, the crisis could be just the beginning. Life-size puppet animals took over the streets of Madrid on June 7th. They performed alongside Spain's national dance company at a former slaughterhouse. The show is part of an ambitious artistic project addressing the climate crisis through a 20,000-kilometer migration from Central Africa to Arctic Circle. Crowds watched as the puppets symbolized wildlife migrating to safer areas, highlighting the urgency of protection and change. On to business and tech news now. Shares jumped and the dollar pared recent gains as Asian markets reacted to stronger than expected US jobs data, ahead of high-stakes trade talks between Washington and Beijing. Hong Kong's Hang Seng surged 1.3%, touching the 24,000 mark earlier today, while Japan's Nikkei rose nearly 1% even as unrest in Los Angeles weighed on global sentiment. Meanwhile, Indian shares also opened higher, boosted by strong US jobs data and signs of progress in trade talks between New Delhi and Washington. The Nifty 50 rose to 25,110 earlier today, while the Sensex climbed over 82,500. This follows the Reserve Bank of India's surprise 50 basis point rate cut last week. Venezuela is reportedly preparing to raise fuel prices by 50% after oil giant Chevron and other oil companies halt operations, following a US ban imposed in late May. The state oil firm plans to hike prices from 25 to 75 cents per litre, but officials say the move will only take effect after a formal announcement in the National Gazette. Meanwhile, China's export growth slowed to a 3-month low in May as US tariffs slammed shipments, while factory gate deflation deepened to its worst level in 2 years, adding pressure on the world's second-largest economy. Export to the US plunged 34.5% year-on-year, the sharpest drop since early months of the pandemic, while total export growth comes below expectations at just 4.8%. Meanwhile, a new Boeing 737 MAX lands back in China, signaling resumption of deliveries to Chinese customers. This comes as US and China temporarily eased tariff tensions. Boeing had halted deliveries in April amid rising tariffs, but said it would resume shipments in June after a 90-day tariff truce was agreed. Starbucks announces a price cut in China, slashing the cost of some ice drinks by an average of about 70 cents. As competition heats up and consumers cut back. From Tuesday, dozens of drinks, including frappuccinos and non-coffee options, will sell lower, more accessible prices. US chipmaker Qualcomm agrees to acquire British semiconductor firm Alphaware for about $2.4 billion. The deal comes as Qualcomm looks to strengthen its artificial intelligence technology portfolio. It also comes at a time when US-based firms are snapping up British assets, taking advantage of a market plagued by comparatively weaker valuations and stunted growth. Apple is set to unveil major updates to its operating systems at the Worldwide Developers Conference later today. This reportedly includes a new look and a new naming system. The tech giant is set to launch a brand new design language called Liquid Glass, which is inspired by Apple's Vision Pro headset. Meta Platforms is reportedly in talks to invest over $10 billion in US artificial intelligence startup Scale AI. The move is reported to mark a major shift of Meta, traditionally known for its in-house AI research. Scale AI is a leading player in data labeling, a core function for training models used by Microsoft, OpenAI and others. Sam Altman-backed startup Tools for Humanity expands its eyeball scanning orbs across 6 cities in the UK from this week. The devices now appear in malls, on high streets in London, Manchester and others. The orbs create a digital ID called World ID to confirm whether a person is human. Moving to sports, today we begin with tennis. Men's world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz produced a comeback for ages to clinch French Open men's single title. From 2 sets down, the Spaniard saved 3 championship points, defeating world number 1 Yannick Sinner of Italy 4-6, 6-7, 6-4, 7-6, 7-6. In 5 hours and 29 minutes, this was also the longest ever French Open final in the Open era. And by defending his French Open title, Alcaraz won the 5th Grand Slam of his career. At the age of 22 days, 1 month and 3 days, the Spaniard equalled a coveted record of his idol Rafael Nadal. Nadal had beaten Roger Federer at Wimbledon in 2008 to win his 5th Grand Slam at the same age. Alcaraz called it destiny and said he will keep the record close to him forever. Sara Errani and Jasmine Paolini won the French Open women's doubles title. The Italian pair beat a Kazakh Serb pair 6-4, 2-6, 6-1 for the first Grand Slam title together. The Italians won the Grand Slam at the same court they clinched gold in last year's Paris Olympics. The duo had finished runners-up at Roland Garros a year ago when Paolini was also a finalist in the women's singles. In football, Portugal picked up their second Nations League title by beating defending champion Spain 5-3 on penalties. Cristiano Ronaldo's 61st minute equaliser ensured the game went to a shootout. Ruben Neves struck the winning spot kick to spark wild scenes of celebration. Cristiano Ronaldo was in tears as the Portuguese side lifted the coveted silverware. After losing the Nations League final to Portugal, Spain's coach Luis de Fuente said his side was already thinking about the World Cup. He said, and I quote, "From this very moment, we are already thinking about the next World Cup, which is our goal," end quote. Luciano Spalletti claimed he has been sacked as Italy coach. The 66-year-old made the announcement at a press conference in the wake of Friday's 3-0 defeat against Norway. Spalletti claimed his contract will be resolved after Italy's clash against Moldova, scheduled for later today. In cricket, England beat West Indies by 4 wickets in the second of their 3-match T20 series. After taking to field in Bristol, England restricted the visitors at 196 runs. In response, the hosts chased down the total with 9 balls remaining. With this, England won the series, win 1 game to spare to make it 5 wins in 5 over West Indies. The Chief Minister of India's Karnataka state distanced himself from the last week's stampede incident which killed 11 people. The Chief Minister blamed top police officials for failed security arrangements in the city after RCB's IPL title win. The leader added that he was informed about the incident much later. In basketball, Oklahoma City beat India Pacers 123-107 in NBA Finals Game 2. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 34 points. The two sides will play the next game on June 12th. In athletics, at Taiwan Open Championship, the Indian contingent closed the competition with 6 gold medal wins. Vidya Ramraj, Rohit Yadav, Pooja Krishnan Kumar and Anu Rani won gold in their respective events. Also winning gold was the team of Santosh T, Vishal TK, Dharamveer Chaudhary and Manu TS. The quartet finished on top of the podium in the men's 4x400 meter event to sign off India's successful campaign on a positive note. And now from the world of glitz, glamour and gossip. The 78th Tony Awards was hosted by Cynthia Erivo in the New York City. Here are the highlights. Purpose took home the award for Best Play, while Best Musical was given to Maybe Happy Ending. Stranger Things, The First Shadow won the award for Best Scenic Design for a play along with Best Lighting and Best Sound Design. Sam Pickleton of Oh Mary got the Best Award for Best Direction of a Play. Miley Cyrus revealed she wasn't allowed to perform any Hannah Montana music after the Disney series ended in 2011. Though she wasn't keen to belt out the best of both worlds, she said it was painful being cut off from her childhood catalogue. However, this changed in 2024 when she was named a Disney legend. House of the Dragon sound designer Paula Fairfield gave Season 2's dragons quirky personalities. In an interview, she revealed using real animal and human baby sounds. Each dragon in the show was designed to have a unique voice, honoring their eventual doom in the Targaryen civil war. Disney's Lilo and Stitch held the #1 box office spot worth $32.5 million. The film left behind Ballerina, the new John Wick spin-off starring Ana de Armas, which debuted at a modest $25 million. With a $90 million budget, Ballerina needs legs and fans to justify a Wickverse minus Keanu Reeves. And at least 9 women have accused Jared Leto of sexual misconduct. Some incidents involve underage girls as well. The investigation outlines disturbing claims such as exposing himself and asking inappropriate questions. One accuser called it an open secret. However, Leto's representatives deny any wrongdoing, citing a lack of sexual context. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Gursheen Garland and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.